Back inside the steam room. Charles Barkley.
Oh, this is big,
Ernie Johnson. Yes.
This is big.
Yeah, when you can have one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and one of the few guys who can say he actually lost to Charles Barkley on the golf course,
Listen,
and have him on the podcast.
that list is growing. That list is growing for the record.
Yes, but this is the biggest name.
Yes.
On that list.
Yes.
Peyton Manning joining us in the steam room. Peyton, thank you so much, man. We appreciate you taking some time.
Hey, thanks for having me, Ernie, Charles. And thanks for that intro, Ernie. Thanks for reminding me. It's been really the low point of my entire career. I don't like to lose in golf, but losing to Charles Barkley has left an imprint on me. It's left a mark. That's kind of what I'm known as now. And my golf game has just gotten worse since then because I've lost all confidence.
Hey, Peyton, I got to tell you something, man. When you asked me to be on your first ESPN2 gig, did you have any idea it was going to become this popular?
We really didn't know what to expect, Charles. Obviously, out of COVID, realizing that you could sort of broadcast a game remotely, it's like the one positive thing to come out of COVID. There's so many negative things, but for Eli and I to be able to watch football together, we haven't done that since the early 90s, Charles. When we were back in high school, Eli was in junior high. So, it's just fun for me to do that with my brother, but to talk football with guys that love football, like yourself, like Michael Irvin. We had Tom Brady on, Russell Wilson. It's been a lot of fun, and the fact that some people are enjoying it at the same time, that's a good thing.
What were the instructions given to you as you embarked on this? Were there any?
Well, we wanted to kind of take a different approach. And look, I watch a lot of football. I go to the Broncos games here in Denver. I watch Sunday night football. I watch Monday night football. But when I watch it, I kind of watch it with some other people. And I maybe don't analyze the 2nd and 1 running play because nobody is that interested. But if something interesting happens, I kind of find myself sort of blurting it out and, saying the safety fell down. The receiver ran the defender into the referee. You kind of yell out what happens. And so never had really any interest in being an analyst. I like being a fan. I like being an ambassador. I like being on the positive side of it, but kept talking to ESPN through the years in this second chapter for me, and talked about doing something different. We came up with this concept, and it's kind of the answer to your question is, Ernie, it's like we're watching the game in a bar. Eli and I are watching the game in a bar, and the viewer is sitting down with us, and we're having some laughs. If the game's boring, we're having more laughs. If the game's good, we're talking about what's going on. Love having the guests on there. To me, that's been the most fun part for me.
Chuck, you know what? When you watch this and you see so many of the clips, like the Dak Prescott, hip swivel and Eli's explanation of that and his demonstration of it, and then saying, and that's why I can throw the ball farther than you, Peyton. I mean, this is, and it reminds me, it's kind of like our show too. It's kind of like, we're 4 guys sitting around talking hoop.
Yeah.
Watching you and your brother, there's something really special about the relationship that you guys have, and because if you didn't have that, this wouldn't come off that way.
No, I think you're right, Ernie. Look, the fact that Eli and I are brothers, we both can give it out. We both can take it. I seem to be taking it a lot more in these first shows, Ernie. I mean, there's a lot of material there. Eli's going to the repeat forehead jokes. I'm trying to say get some new material. He keeps jabbing, but I think that's probably why it works. The fact that we are both self-deprecating guys that don't take ourselves that seriously, that are serious about football, serious about the X's and O's, but also fun when it comes to making fun of ourselves, laughing a lot. I mean, we laugh a lot during this show. I mean, there are funny things that Charles says, right, that Tom Brady says, that Gronkowski says, that we truly laugh at. And to be able to laugh and have fun and watch football at the same time, that's pretty cool.
Even with smoke alarms going off too.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, you know, Peyton,
Yes.
as great a football player you were, and you're synonymous with being a tape guy, always prepared, until Saturday Night Live, until Peyton Places, until this TV show, everybody's realizing how hilarious you are. Like you were so guarded. Well, listen, and I understand that, but between Peyton Places, the SNL thing, and this, people are really getting an opportunity to see your personality.
Well, Charles, you know, for a football player, you have that helmet on the entire game. You know, football, if you're caught smiling or laughing on the sidelines, that means you're not focused. Right? Oh, he's not into the game, right? You know, the Broncos are coach are losing, and then the quarterback's over there laughing. So it's such a serious game, as you know. I think that helmet kind of makes it even more serious, where people can't see your expressions. Right? I had a lot of fun playing football. Of course, winning is fun, but a lot of laughs there in the huddle on the sidelines that sometimes, because you have the helmet on, people don't really get to see. So those opportunities you mentioned, Saturday Night Live and the Peyton's Places, it's a chance for a football player to take his helmet off and laugh and show that you like to laugh, show that you're not afraid to make fun of yourself. So I've appreciated those opportunities. I realize those opportunities came about because I played football, but I think for any football player to take their helmet off, it's certainly something that it's a different side that the fans get to see.
What's the one thing you miss the most about playing football?
Just my teammates every day, Charles. Those plane rides that you would know about, you know, after a game, after this hard-fought victory, you're on the plane with your teammates, the adrenaline, the emotion after this hard-fought victory, and you're on a plane with 53 guys. You never get to fly on a plane with 53 of your friends, right? And I tell people all the time, right, you know, when that flight attendant says, hey, this plane cannot take off, everybody is seated and your cell phones are turned off, that is not true. Okay, Charles, that is just not true. Because after an NFL game, everybody's on their phones, they're standing up, and that plane takes off perfectly fine. So I miss the plane rides. I miss the camaraderie, the fellowship. Fortunately, though, Charles, even though I don't get to see those guys every day, we have a text thread with my old Broncos teammates, some Tennessee teammates, my Colts teammates. We still get to keep in touch. When you see each other at a reunion or when another player gets honored, it makes those moments even more special.
You know, every time some job opportunity comes up, Peyton Manning going to be the head coach of Tennessee. He's going to take a TV job. He's going to be the NFL commissioner. He's going to own an NFL team. Do you sit back and laugh at times? Because every time something like that happens, because I remember when the Tennessee job came in, we got to get Peyton Manning. The CBS, Fox, ESPN, NBC, they want Peyton Manning. He should be the commissioner in a few years. Do you ever sit back and just laugh at some of the rumors?
Well, you know, Charles, everybody wants to try to be the one that has the scoop, right? That's breaking the news. And, you know, all these jobs, I mean, some of them don't say this is what we think is going to happen. Some of them say this is going to happen. And I'm like, God, I always thought I would kind of know what job I was going to take. How does this guy know before me? Yeah, so you do kind of laugh. You know, first off, my name's been mentioned on some jobs that I am in no way qualified for by any means. Just not possible. So might be flattering in some ways, but it's just not realistic, right? University of Tennessee, we got a great coach in Josh Heupel. I'm going to the game this weekend. Georgia Bulldogs better look out. Tennessee Volunteers are on the rise.
Yeah, I hear you.
And,
Peyton,
I hear you.
Hey, Peyton, are y'all playing Tennessee? Y'all playing Georgia this weekend?
Yeah.
We are.
Hey, let me tell you something. I saw that movie about a month ago. It's not going to end well.
You're probably right, but I'll be there and be cheering hard. But, you know, Charles, I kind of like what I'm doing right now. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I've kind of found some different projects in this second chapter like this new Monday night show. You mentioned the Peyton's Places. Do a little something for ESPN called Detail that the late Kobe Bryant started, kind of breaking down the quarterback's play kind of behind the ropes. And Charles, this allows me a lot of free time as well to do some things that I've never had a chance to do. I coached my son's flag football team this year. We went 10-0, won the championship this past Saturday. If I had signed up for some other things and had to miss those flag football games, that would be a mistake on my end. And so I'm enjoying what I'm doing right now.
And now is that Marshall's team that won the championship? And he's
that's Marshall, yeah, Marshall. And he's the Bills,
and he's not sporting your name or his name on the back of his jersey while everybody else is.
It's been very humbling, Ernie. Look, I had my favorite players growing up. I can relate. My dad was my favorite player up until he retired, and then I went to Dan Marino. So I think Marshall's taking that same approach. I think I was his favorite player
until Josh Allen came along.
Retired,
yeah.
And then moved on to Josh Allen. He likes Mahomes, and so I can't really complain too much because I'm pretty sure I did the same thing.
You mentioned your dad, and I've known your dad. We're not great friends. I met him quite a few times. I want you to tell us about your mom, because everybody know about the quarterback returning with you, your dad, and your brother, but they never talk about your mom. Tell us how awesome your mom is.
Well, Charles, she's a saint, and no pun intended. My dad played for the Saints, but my mom, putting up not with 3 boys, right? It's really 4 boys. You got to throw my dad in there. Just 4 jocks there in the house. Putting up with all of us. Just can't tell you how much I appreciate her. As I mentioned down in August, down in Canton, Ohio, in my Hall of Fame acceptance speech, I said, how lucky was I to have the most loving mother that can also break down a cover 2 defense as well as any other NFL quarterback. So, look, Charles, you talk about seeing a lot of football games, right? She dated my dad all through college at Ole Miss, 14 years in the NFL with the Saints. That's a lot of football games. She probably thought, okay, football's been fun. Now we're going to go on and have this normal life. And then it was really just getting started, right? With junior high and high school football games for me and Cooper and Eli, college, NFL. We got now she has grandchildren playing sports. So she has seen a lot of football. She loves it, but she's been a great mom at the same time.
2-part question for you. You superstitious? As a player, were you superstitious?
I probably was, although I didn't like to say it. I kind of like to say I'm just kind of consistent. I have these routines, which is probably the same as being superstitious. I like to get to the stadium 4 hours before the game. I like to read the program from front to back. Ernie, there's some really useless information in the back of that program. Where
you're talking to the right guy.
Yeah. So, but I had to read it. I feel like if I skipped it, I was kind of off. I always went out there 2 hours before the game, threw passes to my wide receivers. Marvin Harris and I used to go out. We always threw 17 passes. Is that superstitious or is that just consistent routine? I'm not sure.
Because I bring that up because, you hear about the Madden curse for years and years, and now there's this Manning cast curse where guests you're having on are falling flat in the next week. Now, is there something to this?
Well, I certainly hope not. And if somebody at ESPN said, well, the Madden curse, players kept doing it no matter what. And I said, Charles, that's because they were getting paid, right? You get paid, you don't care about a curse, right?
Yes.
So that is not a comparison. Last time I checked, we're not paying anybody to come on this show with Eli and I. So, look, I hope it's not true. Obviously, this past week with the Buffalo Bills losing to the Jaguars, certainly kind of surprised many. Obviously, we always have the retired players, the coaches that don't have a game next week. I'm actually thinking about putting on whoever the Broncos or Colts play the following week to help my teams get a victory. That's come into play a little bit, but hopefully the next player that we have on, if we have one on, Ernie, wins the next game we can kind of kill that. But right now it is what it is. And our upcoming game next Monday, Rams, 49ers, no current players. We have some great guests, but no current players. So we'll see.
Well, if you need to try to do one before Saturday and get Kirby Smart on there, that would be my advice.
Yes.
An impromptu Manning cast.
An impromptu Manning cast. Friday night before.
Friday for a half hour. We're just going to talk.
Brilliant. Brilliant. I love it.
There's a lot of talk about your nephew. He's the best player in the country. What advice have you given him? I mean, because clearly he has to talk to, number one, his dad, Cooper. But he has to talk to you and Eli because y'all have been the best players. Everybody wanted you. What advice have you given him, and what's the best advice you can give him?
Yeah, Charles, I think Eli and I just try to be a resource for him as his uncle. I kind of wait till Arch, texts me with a question or calls me. I'm not texting him daily. He's a high school kid. Those kids have a lot going on right now. Cooper's done a great job, counseling him, trying to protect him early. This recruiting starts so much earlier, Charles, than it did when I was getting recruited. Same for you, right? For me, it was, it kind of started when I was a senior. Now it starts when you're a freshman in high school. He's just a junior in high school. So I just want him to have a great high school experience. I want him to enjoy all 4 years in high school with his buddies. As you know, you don't get those years back. And then when the next step happens, it happens. But don't rush that process. My advice to him is kind of enjoy the journey, not the destination. I cherished my 4 years in high school. Down at the Hall of Fame ceremony, I had 10 of my high school teammates. We laughed, we reminisced. Had I just kind of hurried through that process, I probably wouldn't have had those guys down there because we wouldn't have had those friendships and those memories. And so that's my advice to him. The next step, if it happens, will happen at the right time. It'll happen at the right place because, Arch will have taken the time to study and make the best decision. But right now, I want him to enjoy his high school junior season and just being a junior in high school.
Well, I just want to tell you this because I'm such a good dude. If you want to sit in my box down at Auburn when he signs with Auburn, you can. Hey, you, Cooper, Eli, your mom and dad. I got enough seats for everybody. That's a good guy that I am. When you come down, when he wants to sign with Auburn, I'm a good guy like that.
I got it.
Okay.
Hey,
I got it. Hey, I like your quarterback right now. I like Bo Nix. I like the way he's playing. So that's good stuff.
As a guy who's won 2 Super Bowls, in the big picture, what do you remember more, the wins or the losses?
Oh, I think you remember the losses, Ernie.
And why is that? Because every athlete I ever talk to always remembers the losses more than the wins.
There's a reason why.
Okay. So what's the reason?
For me, it's because you sort of expect to win and you're kind of surprised when you don't. And when you don't, it sticks with you longer. And, there's an old saying, Jimmy Connors said that he hated to lose more than he liked to win. He hated to see the happiness on their faces when they beat him. And I would kind of fall into that boat. I hated having to go and shake hands and say good game after we just lost this game. You do it. It's the right thing to do, but it's not fun. When you win, unfortunately, you kind of take it for granted and say, yeah, we were supposed to. Of course, the media kind of says you were supposed to win. So my advice to anybody is don't ever take winning for granted, right? Enjoy those victories. Every single win in the regular season in football is hard to come by, Ernie. It's hard to win. Enjoy those. And the losses, try not to make them as devastating as I did, because Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday was pretty miserable after a loss. I'm jealous of the NBA and Major League Baseball. You lose a game, you're playing the next night, right? Yeah. And you can get that bad taste out of your mouth. In the NFL, you lose on Sunday, you got to wait 7 days. God forbid you got a bye week. Now we got to wait 14 days. That is the absolute worst. And so it's probably not the right approach to do it, but that's kind of how I approached it. And, luckily we did win more than we lost.
How do you approach it, Chuck?
Well, I think there's two types of losses. The regular season losses don't matter. I think the end of the year losses are the one that really stick with you, Ernie, because I think you put so much into a season. Like every season is its own entity. Like, no, if you suck last year, that has nothing to do with this year. Like, we start over. You're not defending champs. You're not defending anything. You're always going to be champs. So every year you put all your energy, all your eggs in one basket. And if you don't accomplish your ultimate goal, you're just depressed. Like, if he was fortunate enough to win 2 Super Bowls, but every season, Ernie, it takes so much energy and effort to win. Like, I tell people all the time, man, everybody's trying to win, but only one team is going to win. And everybody else, especially teams that go deep in the playoffs, like, you go an extra 2 months in the NBA, and if you put that extra 2 months in and lose, you're devastated. When we lost to the Bulls for the championship, I stayed in bed for like 2 weeks. I was like, I don't want anybody to see my face. I was so down and depressed. And then the next 2 years, we lost to Kennedy in 7 games. When we were the 2 best teams in the NBA, and we lost in 7 games. Like, you put so much energy into it. That's why you remember the losses. It's easy to be happy when you celebrate. But when you put all that time and effort into winning and you lose, you're like, oh my goodness.
Hey, Peyton, we want to throw a clip at you and just get your reaction to it, because obviously you made Omaha famous, and people heard you barking that out at the line for forever and ever. The other day, Josh Allen, who we've already spoken of on this podcast, came up with this at the line.
Shaquille O'Neal! 75, right? Shaquille O'Neal. That's going to be a big one.
Yeah. So
Allen. Incomplete.
See there? That's exactly what I think of Shaquille O'Neal right there. That's a perfect example of Shaquille O'Neal play right there.
So take me into that. Where does that come from, Peyton? And how do you decide what you're going to yell?
NFL offenses are doing a great job of giving players some ownership in the terminology, Ernie. You know, the coach comes in, puts a play in, he's got some concept, and you know it's hard to know what the origin of the play was, but you know, I mean, my guess is they probably asked Josh Allen, "Hey, what do you want to call this play?" And you know, maybe it's like, "Hey, we got 3 guys over here, we got 2 here." It's a deep pass play with a short, so we got a 3 and a 2. Who's number 32? Shaquille O'Neal. That's a guess. That could be dead wrong. A lot of teams have L words or run plays to the left, R words to the right. So you know, Charles Barkley has an R and an L in both of them. So you could say that and really confuse the defense. So no exact idea of what Shaquille O'Neal at the origin was, but I do think it's fun for players to have some ownership in naming the plays. It helps you remember them a lot better when you actually name the play.
So Omaha was yours?
Omaha, believe it or not, had been around for a long time. Brady used to say Omaha. Eli used to say Omaha. But when I got to Denver, it's right when they turned those NFL sideline microphones up louder. We were calling a lot of audibles. Omaha was a word that you called when you kind of changed the play and the ball was going to be snapped right away at the last minute. And so we were doing that a lot. So I was saying it all the time. You could hear it on those mics. So it kind of got attributed to me, but Omaha's been around for a long time.
So let me ask you this one question. And I fight with my friends all the time. Okay, now football has come down to how good your quarterback is. Are some of these guys, I want to, not getting good coaching? Because my question is, okay, everybody can't be Peyton, Eli, Tom, Aaron, but they should be decent quarterbacks, correct? Like I say, you guys are the cream of the crop, but I'm saying, can't you coach a guy up enough to make him a decent quarterback?
Well, the only thing I'll say, Charles, is, all those guys that you just mentioned have pretty much been in the same offense and the same team, same teammates for most of their careers, right? Tom Brady played in New England. He had some different play callers, right? He had Charlie Weiss, Josh McDaniels, Bill O'Brien, but it was the same offense, right? The same terminology. He knew everything about that offense. He knew where the first read was, where the fifth read was, right? So much of it is having some continuity in your offensive system, hopefully having some continuity in the players that you're playing with, the timing that you have with your receivers, the same center that you're comfortable with, and the same guy calling the plays. Unfortunately, there's a lot of quarterbacks that come in, maybe they don't play real well, they change coaches. They fire the offensive coordinator. Now we got to start all over again. If you really want to screw up a young quarterback, just keep changing offensive coordinators every year. That's an easy way to screw him up. How about trying to give him some continuity, give him the same offense? Look, if you have a really talented offensive coordinator and he's really good, he's probably going to get a head job. Charles, you ought to have a shadow living with him, right? An assistant following that guy wherever he goes. So when he leaves, you're taking over the offensive play calling duties. So I think continuity is the best thing to help a young quarterback.
Peyton Manning, it has been it's been great talking to you. You've been very generous with your time. I think we've probably stolen a little bit of time from your day as well. But thank you so much, man. We learned a lot, and please realize that we're loving the Manning cast, and people are saying that may be the future of how games are televised. And if it is, then man, you're a pioneer. We appreciate you so much.
Ernie, Charles, thanks for having me. All the best.
You too, brother.
Right back
Take care
at you.
of yourself. That was awesome, man.